This is Dave DeSimone in the Beer Garden. Welcome to another half-hour edition sponsored by Vecenie Distributing, Western Pennsylvania's premier distributor of craft beers. And now let's say to our beer-drinking buddy of the moment, shall I say, Tony the Beer Man Knipling. Tony, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Dave. We're going to have a nice show today.
Yeah.
We're doing something a little bit different.
We're going
to have a guest on, two guests with slightly different accents.
Okay.
And one is actually calling from London, England.
Yeah. But we have accents too, you know.
We have Pittsburghese. It's not, to me, it's not an accent.
All right. So who do we have here today?
Well, today we have two guests, and one sitting right across from us live is Robert Charlesworth, who happens to be the chairman of the British American Connections Pittsburgh.
All right.
And if everybody asks, well, what's that? How about going onto the internet and you can see their website at BACPGH.com, and it's all there. And there's an event that they're involved with, and so is Vecenie Distributing through Fuller's English Ales. They are doing Britsburgh.
Exciting.
So Robert can tell us all about Britsburgh in a minute. But we also have on the phone John Keeling, who's the master brewer, the brewmaster at Fuller's Brewery in London, England. And John will say hello in a second. But we had special arrangements made through their importer that he's going to call and say hello. And we're going to talk about Fuller's. And Fuller's is the official beer of Britsburgh.
That's cool. Yeah, so the Festival of Britain in Pittsburgh, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that, please.
Charles. Yeah. Hi, Robert here.
Robert, yes.
Yeah, Britsburgh is...
But we want to have John say hello because he's in there, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, good.
John, welcome.
Good. We I know you called a few times, and we'll taping this, people. So recording it. Taping's the old style, but we're trying to get this get you on too. So we're going to say a little bit about the British American Connection and what is Britsburgh and how Fuller's going to pertain to it. So Mr. Charlesworth here, Robert, is going to tell us about Britsburgh that I know you looked a little bit up and we sent you some information and you're excited about it. The Queen is too, I'm told.
Yeah, the Queen's the Queen's been involved. She's been around town, around Pittsburgh, popping up from time to time.
I hadn't seen her.
Market Square last week, and I think you might see her in a mini this week. So.
Okay, all right.
But that's a full-size cutout, right?
That's a full-size cutout, yeah. And you might see the Britsburgh flag, which is actually a Union Jack done in the colors of the city of Pittsburgh, which is black and gold.
I saw that.
Yeah, that's very cool. Yes.
But actually, in all seriousness, we did get a letter. I wrote to my son, Anthony, and I wrote to Buckingham Palace to inform the Queen about this event. And she kindly responded. I actually got a letter, and she wishes everyone, I quote, everyone in Britsburgh, her good wishes for a successful and enjoyable event. So that's cool.
Nice to get on the map there.
Yes, it is.
In jolly old England.
Yes.
Yeah, so Britsburgh is an event we came up with because the Queen actually is acceding or taking over from Victoria. Queen Victoria is the longest reigning monarch on September the 9th, which when the show goes out, it'll be tomorrow. So, it's a pretty cool
How many
event.
years is that, just out of curiosity? Do we know?
I think it's 63.
Oh, my goodness. God bless her.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
We don't keep presidents that long.
Well, she's a great export for the country, as is the beer.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is what, so September the 8th through the 14th. It's basically a week-long event with lots of activities, correct?
Yeah, that's right. It starts off on Tuesday the 8th with a proper British dinner at Gainer's School of Cooking, and ends with on the 14th with actually the best choir in the world are coming to Pittsburgh, which is Trinity College from Cambridge.
Nice.
And they're playing at Calgary Episcopal Church.
Out in Shadyside.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And plenty of opportunities here. I see the list of to drink some good Fuller's beer as well as engage in British culture.
Yes,
right?
my spoke on the wheel, so to speak, is the beer. So that's my my expertise. So we're going to have fun with Fuller's.
Here's one that catches my eye: the British cheese and tea happy hour. I know they don't have the beer, but when I think of cheese and British beer, they naturally go hand in hand. But that's a tea, and that's at McGinnis Sisters in Monroeville.
Yeah, the McGinnis Sisters are actually going to be having an event throughout Britsburgh. There's one a day, I believe, at their stores, either with cheese or, English product. So that's a lot of fun.
I bet you could bring a Fuller's in. I've been out there too. They have a nice little area. You could probably bring one with you.
Yeah,
but ours is going to be the British Beer College.
You're
That's
having a
our
British
highlight.
beer college. You like
That's right.
educational. You have the beer school.
Yeah.
Now you're up to college.
Yeah.
Man almighty.
it's going to be a lot of fun. We're actually it's the BBC at the HYP.
BBC at the HYP, Harvard, Yale, Princeton Club, correct?
Yes, prestigious club in Pittsburgh is supporting us, and
British beer
we'll have
college.
Fuller's beer and a couple American beers to show the difference, and the cousins, the American cousins, how the English started it, kind of.
Yeah, it's probably going to
And
be
it's-
one of my favorite events.
I bet. Well, Tony, you're the impresario or the professor at the British Beer School at the HYP. Tell us a little bit about that. Is that open to the public?
Okay, and John, yes, it is. And John will enjoy this, Mr. Keeling. We're going to feature the Fullers, and it's Friday, September 11th. And as we said, the HYP Club is a very ornate English-style room we're in, actually, with lots of wood and what would the architecture be? Edwardian or Elizabethan?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
an old club.
I say old boy.
panelled.
Yes,
Clubbish.
yes. And so we're going to have.
Sounds very good, doesn't it? I'm going to have to book my airplane ticket.
There you
to come
go.
over.
They're going to be. They have a choice of fish and chips or bangers and mash,
Nice.
and some munchies, and then we'll talk about the beers and a little bit of Fuller's. And I have a gentleman friend I've known for 35 years. That shows my age. But here's his credentials. His name is Ed Vidunas, and most of the people in Pittsburgh know him because he knows every good bar stool in Pittsburgh. But
his
he's
credentials.
28-time visitor to England, and he goes to London twice a year, at least. Sometimes, twice a year, sometimes once. But he's been there 28 times, and he keeps count.
So he knows his
Tell
beer.
him the
he
next
knows-
time he's in London to come to Fuller's.
Oh, he's been to Fuller's a couple times.
Well, I'll buy him a beer if he comes.
Okay, well, the next time we'll get Ed there too. But so he's going to be my Anglophile, American Anglophile that will tell his regaling stories of England.
So basically, you get 4 beers: 2
Yep.
British, 2 American, light English food, and some seating is limited. So you want to
Yep.
call 412-281-5858, which is the number at the HYP
Yep.
Club. $50 a person. Sounds like a nice way to kick off the weekend. Doors open at 5:30.
Yep, and a portion of it helps the BAC Pittsburgh to fund some activities. So, and we should have a lot of fun and in a quality beers, quality environment, the whole upscale thing.
Yeah, perhaps Tony, I should tell you a little bit about BACP and what we're
Okay.
doing. So we're a not-for-profit organisation. There's some British people on the board. I'm the chairman, and those with connections to England are also on the board. 17 in total, and we try and promote education, business naturally, and culture, because the history of Britain in Pittsburgh goes back to when General Forbes named the city of Pittsburgh, or the strip of land between the two rivers, back in 1758, 56, sorry, yeah. So yeah, it's a good opportunity. This is a great first event. We hope to make it a festival, a regular festival. It's the longest festival that I know of in Pittsburgh. So. And we've got the support of Mayor Peduto, who issued a proclamation that it would be Britsburgh Week. So
Yeah, the mayor came out, so the mayor and the queen.
yeah,
Next, we got to get the governor, but okay.
well, perhaps he can come. Maybe he likes Fuller's beer too.
Sure. And then I think Yeah, and again, if you the British Beer College, you can go on to the HYP website. You can go on to the Vecenie website, which is beer since 1933. Then you can also have it at the BACPGH.com. All those sources can get you there.
Yeah. An easier website domain actually is Britsburgh.com, if you can't remember. BACPGH, but you'll get there with all the events. And there's some other cool events that I'd like to mention, if I may, Tony.
Sure.
There's a Commonwealth of Nations dinner, and you're going to ask me, what is the Commonwealth of Nations? Probably it's not the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, that's for sure. So the Queen is also the head of the Commonwealth, which is it's over 50 nations around the world: Australia, India, Pakistan, some of the Caribbean islands. The former British Empire, to be honest.
Canada too, right?
Canada is in there too. Yeah, slipped my memory, that one. But yeah, we're gonna have food from 4 nations. We're gonna have Australia, England, Caribbean, and India represented from the food line. We're gonna have a Britsburgh cocktail, and there's going to be entertainment. There's going to be a steel band. There's going to be a didgeridoo player.
Nice.
Representing Australia. We're going to have Indian dance, and English songs. So that should be a great event. And that's at the Mansions on 5th Hotel, also up in Shadyside. And you can find the phone number for that on Britsburgh.com.
Saturday, September the 12th.
Saturday, September the 12th. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that sounds like a good lineup. And Tony, let's say we take a little break
let's
here.
Take a
and
short
then
break
we
and then
come
have
back,
Mr. Keeling
talk
tell us about Fuller's.
some beers. So hang
Yes.
in there. This is Dave DeSimone, Tony Knipling, Robert Charlesworth, and Mr. Keeling
Yes.
from Fuller's Brewery. We'll be right back after these messages.
Keeping your beer cold is as important as storing wine at the right temperature. This is Mark Morrison with a message for beer lovers. In addition to designing wine cellars, Morrison Kitchen and Bath can customize refrigeration systems ideal for any space to keep your favorite beer nice and cold. Don't store your beer in a hot garage. Call Morrison Kitchen and Bath to discuss ideas in price ranges from light to full-bodied. Call 412-884-4545. That's 412-884-4545. Your passion for beer begins in the beer garden.
PA number 2505.
Welcome back into the beer garden. This is Dave DeSimone. I'm here with Tony Knipling, Robert Charlesworth. We're going to talk with John Keeling, brewmaster at Fuller Brewery. But before we do that, one more event we want to mention here, Robert, is the Very British Day Out. What day is that? Sunday, September 13th?
Yeah, Sunday, September 13th from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. It's completely free, this event. So we want to try and fill the Highmark Stadium where the Riverhounds play.
Right.
And it's a great event that will have a sport. So we're going to have 2 soccer matches. There's going to be England versus the Commonwealth. We're going to have a cricket match, so a lot of Pittsburghers won't know what cricket is. They can see that, and it's been demonstrated. There's a rugby game, and there's going to be food and drink from England, naturally, and there's going to be a Queen Elizabeth II lookalike competition. So. That should be fun. There's $500 of prize money for the best looking queen, and from an adult and a child perspective. So we hope to fill that. There's vintage cars, and there's music from England. The Honey Riders, which is a local band headed up by Mark Fern, who's an English guy. So it should be a fun day out.
In terms of that Queen Elizabeth II lookalike competition, there's one thing I've learned in doing the beer garden now with Mr. Knipling for maybe 10 years is I always put my money on Mr. Knipling. You're a shoo-in for that, buddy.
Did I look like the Queen?
Absolutely.
I have to shave the beard.
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
Do a different interpretation. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and you should register online for that competition if you want to participate and get
Look
some
like
money.
an old Frank Zappa picture in a dress.
Britsburgh.com.
Okay, on to the beer. Huh?
And in front of us we have 3 beers, Mr. Keeling. We have your London Pride, your ESB, and the London Porter.
And I'm opening up the ESB even as we speak.
Okay, and then we carry all 3 in Pittsburgh in the 11.2 ounce bottles, the proprietary raised glass bottle that looks so good.
Beautiful. I mean, one thing about Fuller's I've always liked is the labeling. It's so eye-catching, and the ESB has ESB Extra Special Bitter and the blue label. So looks really eye-catching.
Hope it looks good in the glass too.
It does. It has a beautiful amber color and looks good. So we're just pouring it here. So Tony, you want to tell us a little bit?
And then so we carry those 3 beers. We carry the London Pride and the ESB and draft. Kind of my little shameless plug is the best bar for us in Pittsburgh. For you can always find a London Pride and maybe something else in Fuller's is at Piper's Pub in the South Side. They're the most English bar in Pittsburgh, and they pride themselves on London Pride.
Goes well with the fish and chips, too.
Yes, and the bangers and the mash, and some other English dishes, and some other English beers, and a lot of American beers. But that's kind of the headquarters. I know when we've had the Britsburgh meetings, I think 3 of them, they've always ended up at Piper's Pub. Along the bar.
Yeah, and actually there's England are playing San Marino this weekend, so we'll be definitely down there with the Queen
San Marino.
and taking on some fish and chips.
Yes,
and
he
some
broadcasts
Fuller's
lots of
beers.
soccer games and rugby games, but that's part of Pittsburgh, John, and
So
we'd
what's
Sounds like
certainly
it
like
could
to
be a home from home. For
yeah,
them.
and
what's the deal with Fuller's for maybe those of us who I've always liked the beer, but what's the history behind Fuller's Brewery?
I mean, Fuller's, we've been brewing as Fuller's Brewery since 1845 in Chiswick, London. There's actually, before the Fullers got involved with the brewery, there was other people running breweries here, and we can trace brewing on this site back to about 1640. But Fuller's took over the brewery in 1845.
So that's a nice little
So we've
run.
been going a long time. And to give the full title of the company, it's actually Fuller, Smith and Turner. There was 3 people formed a partnership in 1845. And John Turner was the very first brewmaster of Fuller's, and I am the current brewmaster of Fuller's.
Nice.
is there a number? I mean, are you the 31st, or the something? Hard to figure that out.
I don't actually know, but Fuller's keep their brewmasters for a long time. The previous brewmaster was a guy called Red Story, who did 40 years with Fuller's, and I'm just about to enter my 35th year.
How would you, congratulations, how would you characterize Fuller's in England? Is it one of the more popular brews in England?
Yeah, it is a popular beer in London, and we have a lot of prestige with our beers, because I think rather, like the new American craft beers that are coming up, we've always put flavour first, and that to us is the most important part of the beer, is you've got to get the flavour right, and it's got to be a good flavour, and it's got to be distinctive.
So it's not like you're not Johnny come lately to having these full flavoured beers. No,
that's been our major point of difference between us and a lot of breweries, is we've always gone for the flavour. But American brewers, I know so many of them now and drink so many of their beers. They brew to a slightly different style than English beers. English beers are perhaps more subtle. American beers are more powerful. And it depends what you want, subtlety or that powerful big bang first as the taste.
I think I think that's correct. I mean, I agree with it. I sell both beers, and our specialty is the American craft beers. Yeah. We'll, as people in Pittsburgh know, we're the craft beer wholesaler here. We have no national beers. We're kind of like Fuller's. You're an independent family-owned brewery. We'll also independently family-owned, and no big guys, no deep pockets with us. But we do have a table tent that is going up around the Britsburgh with their logo on it, and your saying on your table tent in America says, "Taste the ales that inspired U.S. craft," and then it says "in London."
I mean, that's so true as well, and it's a great thing. I know that you know, I mean, I've been at Fuller's for 35 years, and we've had lots of American brewers visit us and go and drink our beer and be inspired. But that influence is washing back. We're using American hops now to make beers in not such a different style as the Americans are brewing. So in the world of brewing, the influence is washing to and fro across the Atlantic, and brewers are great friends with each other. There's no sort of intense rivalry saying we have to sell more beer than you or anything like that. It is, oh, you're doing something interesting. That's inspired us to do something even more interesting. And I think that's the best thing about being a brewer, is it's so friendly, and people come round and visit you and drink your beer and you drink their beer.
John, what about the temperature? I mean, we serve it at a different temperature in London, don't we?
Yeah, I think, you know, there are some beers that can quite hold their own when they're chilled, but some beers prefer to be more like 11 to 13 rather than chilled down to 6 to 8. And you can get those subtle flavors can come through, and you can get a more complex taste at that point.
Yeah, we like to serve your beers at 50 degrees here.
Fahrenheit.
Oh yeah, I talk centigrade,
Yeah.
you talk Fahrenheit, yeah.
And we got Fahrenheit from the British, did we not? I mean, that used to be, I think, or was it always
Yeah,
centigrade?
but we've all gone European now.
Okay.
Centigrade.
Yeah, it's the ocean's a big water body. You know,
Yeah.
we're closer to.
We still use miles here as opposed to kilometers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank God we
Yeah,
keep
well-
miles too in England.
But, yeah, we.
That's what I like about America. It's guardian of English values.
Yeah. Well, let's see.
wanna try the London Pride now?
The extra special bitters, before we move on, you're talking about subtlety. So many of these hopped up beers now in America are just, you know, if you really like hops, it's one thing. But this has, you could taste the malt flavors as well as the hop flavors. And what's the alcohol level in this?
That's one of their more stronger
Yeah, I was
beers.
gonna say.
That's 5.9.
5.9, yeah.
Now the London Pride's 4.7.
4.7. All right.
And
So let's try
there
on
is
that.
a newer, smaller movement in America with the craft beers, John, of session beers. And I know in England they understand what session beers are. In America, we're trying to teach people what session beers are. Full flavored yet lower in alcohol is an easy way to say it.
English brewers have always done that because, unlike a lot of countries, in England, most beer is drunk in the pub, not at home. That's slightly changing now that there's more beer drunk at home, but if you go back 20 years, then 60% to 70% of the beer was drunk in the pub.
Well, I just had a sip of this London Pride, and I can think it would go great with a nice sandwich. I mean, it tastes like a beer you want to drink with some food in a pub, maybe, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
and maybe a couple of them too.
Yeah.
Well, this is what you can go down to Piper's Pub and get an English meal with all the time.
Yeah, on tap.
Yep.
Wow, nice. This is
I
not
always say to people that people don't realise how good a beer London Pride is until you've had 3. Because halfway down the third, you're thinking about buying a 4th.
Yeah, I
That's
hear
what
you.
makes it such a good beer.
what. This is more malty. It's not quite as hoppy.
Yeah,
right?
and the English hops are a different profile from the Americans. The American West Coast hops have that citrusy, piney stamp that may be overdone or stereotyped, but that's the American way. The English is a more earthy hop.
And there'd be floral and grassy notes, particularly in the ESB, which comes from the Goldings, which is the traditional hop of England, Kent and West Midlands. That's where they're grown. So, and you can trace the ancestry of Goldings back, a couple of 100 years.
This is nice. It's very drinkable.
Yes,
the London
it is.
Pride. Yeah,
And
nice.
again, at 4.7, you can sit down and have a few and still stand up.
Yeah, with the nice.
And that was good because you can have a conversation for several hours with your friends and still
Yes.
make sense.
You can have a session.
Still
Yeah.
makes sense. Maybe make more sense.
One thing I'd like to interject is I mentioned one of the bars that is involved in Britsburgh. We also have others, and I'm going to name some names, and it'll be in the Pittsburgh newspaper listing of all these bars. So, and my sales force and I have been out trying to get the Britsburgh flag going in these bars through Fuller's. So, as I said, Piper's Pub, Rugyer's Pub, also in the South Side, the Sharp Edge Pen, BRGR in the East End, James Street Gastropub on the north side, House of 1,000 Beers in New Kensington, Patrick's Pub in Moon Township, the Holiday Garden Inn in Oakland, the Fox and Hounds, which sounds very British, in the North Hills is going to put it on. The Yard in Market Square is a brand new establishment. They're putting it on. Hal's Bar and Grill in the North Hills. The Diamond Market in Market Square. So we got 2 in Market Square. We got a square. I got to get 2 more. Poor Richard's Ale House, very English-sounding name in Wexford, is going to put it on. D Six Packs and Dogs always does the bottles. The Backdoor Tavern in Beaver County is going to do it. The Head Keepers in Greensburg. Downey's House in Robinson, Packs and Dogs in Mount Washington, and the new Bentleyville Tavern in Washington County down there at the tip. They're involved.
Nice.
So that's some of them, and most of the Giant Eagles always have the 4-packs. We also have the Cornerstone Restaurant in Aspinwall, the Rivertown Inn in Verona, Boomerangs in Swissville, and that's pretty much the list that's growing. But all those people will be featuring Fuller's during the week or so of Britsburgh, and we think after the week's over, the beer's still going to be there because we're going to do more.
That sounds like a very good pub crawl to me.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the fellow who lent his name to Washington County was no stranger to beer and whiskey, George Washington.
Yeah, and the Whiskey Rebellion in American history was there.
Yeah, he put that one down.
Yep.
So we have one more beer here, the London Porter from Fuller's. So this is a darker one, I assume.
Yes,
huh?
and this is and all 3 are rated very highly, John, and you can say anything you want about these 3 beers.
London Porter is, porter is really the style that made London famous. But if you go back, a couple of 100 years, London was famous for making porters and stouts, and that London Porter is a nod to our history. That porter was the first great industrialized beer of the world.
Yeah, it was for for the public. It was for the worker man.
It was named for the porters of London were drinking so much of it, the beer was named after them. And porters in London didn't just work in markets. In the 1800s and the 1700s, if you wanted goods delivered to your house or wherever you lived, then a porter would bring those goods to you. So porters were delivering goods, working in the markets, working down the docks, etc. So there was a heck of a lot of porters employed in London, and their favourite lunchtime tipple was a pint of this black brownish beer, and it got named after them, porter.
That I can understand. I never knew the etymology of the word porter. So, gentlemen, I see that the little fly on the wall has gone by the time, and our time has flown here. So it's time to wrap up.
We always have more show to do and less time.
Right. So once again, to recap, we have the Britsburgh Festival at britsburgh.com, and lots of opportunities to drink Fuller's beer, and look for all the events there. And Robert Charlesworth, thank you for joining us tonight.
You're very welcome.
John Freeling from
Keeling,
pardon me. It's after 3 beers.
Yeah. Okay.
from Fuller's, and Tony.
And this is our longest historical phone call after 7 or 8 years of this.
Right. Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank
you. You're welcome.
Stuff to the Fox and Hounds to have a pint.
All right.
Okay.
To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Until next time in the Beer Garden, this is Dave DeSimone and Tony the Beerman Knipling.
Hey, good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.